Hi, I'm Kimberly Meredith, and I had my near-death experience in 2013. And I was working in the entertainment business, and I was a nursing assistant. And I really enjoyed my life. It was quite fantastic. And I was also taking care of my grandmother, who was in a nursing home. And it was really sort of a fast-paced lifestyle, but I loved it. I loved always caring for people, helping people. Even at a young age, I had a lot of interesting experiences with helping people. As young as 6 months old, I had this paranormal energy coming through my hands. I would always say to my grandmother that I wanted to do healing on her. And she later on told me that she had suffered from asthma. So I always had this interesting experience with spirit. And I was working on a show called Getting On with Niecy Nash and Laurie Metcalf. And I was so excited about finally getting this big break in Hollywood as a medical technical advisor and still working at the hospital as a nurse's aide and going back and forth. And life is just really dynamically amazing. But I was really, when I look back at it right now, I was really going fast. This one morning, I was rushing to the set, and a friend was picking me up, and he had a big, I don't know, it's like an SUV, and his car door had been broken for quite a while, and he hadn't gotten it fixed. And actually, the piece of the hinge was in the back seat, and he was supposed to take it in. And I remember that morning I was rushing. I was going in to get into the car. He flew the door open on me, and it hit me not only on one side of the body, but my whole side, my whole entire body. And it was a fluke, kind of one of those accidents that you would never imagine could happen. And it flew me backwards, and I hit the back of my head. It was a full-blown hematoma. And I was unconscious for quite a bit, he said. And it was one of those things where I should have been rushed into the hospital at that moment. I woke up and I was throwing up and I was really sick, but I kept hearing over and over in my head, you cannot give up this. You cannot give up this. This is your one chance. I'd been working in the medical technical advising world for a long time. This is something where you get on the sets, you tell the directors how to set up the shots, how to make it look as real as possible when you're acting in a scene, in a medical scene. And I love doing that. So I went to the set. I was very sick. My head was spinning. I was very nauseous. And I wanted to continue doing this. I wanted to continue the show. So if you've ever been in a situation like this where you know you need medical help, but you just don't want to get it because you don't want to miss out on something you've worked your whole life for. And I'd been on a lot of shows, but nothing like this. This is the time I finally got my big break. But what ended up happening is after a week went by, one morning, my fiance walked into the bedroom and I was laying flat on the floor and I wasn't functioning at all. My kidneys had shut down. I was vomiting, and he rushed me to the emergency room. And this happened to be on Christmas Eve. And as I got to the hospital room, they told him my kidneys were failing and I was going to die. And I went into the emergency. They pushed me through. And all I remember is this really weird haze going over me, chills running through my body. And I don't really remember a lot, just a lot of noise, vomiting, chills going through me, and a rush of lights happening. Fast paced nurses finally getting into this room, throwing me into an MRI machine, him holding my hand, and me crying. It was so fast. Test, IVs, everything was just going so fast for me. And him looking at me and saying, "You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay." It just was like out of some weird movie. And I didn't know what was going on. It was just, when I talk about it, it's just so surreal. The next thing I knew, I was above myself. But as I'm above myself, I remember looking over at my blood pressure monitor and it going, shoo. And at the same time, the blood pressure monitor is going down, I'm looking above. As many nurses and doctors are on me, working on me, I'm looking above over myself at the same time and actually hearing all of this noise and going on as the nurses are working on me. I'm above myself. And as this is happening, I feel a very hard pressure come down on my chest, pushing down on me, and hearing, "You're going to stay here. You're going to stay here." And as this pressure is coming down on me, there's a big, huge light going through my eyes. And I'm feeling less and less in my body as I'm above myself and the light is going through my eyes. And a lot of in and out of feeling the light in my eyes, the pressure in my chest. And as this is happening, the noise in the room of the nurses and the doctors are fading out. The more and more this is happening with this light going through my chest and in my eyes, the fading of the other dimension is leaving. And now I'm totally in this higher dimension of Christ's light. I see the face of Jesus Christ come right at me. And then I see the face of this woman. She is very dark skinned. She almost looks Native American staring at me. And I don't know her. She's just looking at my face. And then I know it is Jesus looking at me. And then I hear again, as this chest pressure comes on me again, "You're here to stay." And it's a very hard pressure on me, on my chest. Now, the lights that go through my eyes again, it's another flash through the eyes, is very hard. Now, this is happening much faster than I'm talking about right now. So it's going like very fast. And then it's a very hard thump down, like I'm grounded back down. And when the thump goes back down, as I hit down, I wake up. And when I wake up, I look at everybody in the room. From here down into my body, there is just tons of blood all over my stomach and down into the legs. And I've got IVs here and IVs here, fluid here, and my legs are not stopping from shaking. And I'm having seizures back and forth over and over again. I remember at that moment when that was happening, I remember two things right away. I looked over and saw my fiance sitting in the chair. And I remember hearing in my head, I remember hearing this exact, "You are never going to be the same. You are not you anymore. You are not you anymore. You are not the same person anymore." Now, I couldn't speak. It was over. I couldn't speak. And I never knew the word. I didn't know the word near-death experience. I didn't know I had had that, but I knew I had seen Jesus Christ. I knew I had gone to the omnipresent Christ. And I looked at my fiance and I said, I just saw God. I just was with God. And he said, what are you talking about? We're all with God. And I said, I could hardly talk, but I said, I saw God. I saw God. And he goes, we all saw God. We all see God. And I said, I saw God. And he said, I remember he said to the nurse, she needs some fluids or something. I think he thought I was completely, and I said, I just received God. And I did. I just had received the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit had saved my life. But it didn't end there because I was there for 2.5 more months. I couldn't walk and I couldn't talk. And I had seizure after seizure after seizure. And they had to do many more procedures on me there. There was fluid on my brain. I had such a bad concussion. Finally, I was released as I finally made it around the corridor with my wheelchair and taking a few steps at a time with a good nursing care and learning to start to speak and move. I finally was released. And they taught me some mindfulness and meditation there and procedures of how to do self-care when I got home. I was 99 pounds when I was released, leaving behind the world, the career that I once had. When I left, they told me you would never be able to really hold your head up again on your own. I was in a collar, and they told me I would have to have full-blown spinal surgery because my neck, C2, C3, C4 was broken, and my jaw was broken. And I would need surgery on that. So when I got home, we set me up in my bedroom, which was a few flights upstairs with a little freezer. And I didn't have a home care nurse. It was just me and my fiance. So we would do the best we could do here. I was told by my aunt and my doctors to find a home for my newly American 80-pound bulldog because it was not best for me to keep him. He was too large for us to have here. But I had grown to love him. I'd only had him a year and a half before this accident. And I didn't want to find a home for him. But they had advised me, my neurologist, that this was not the best thing for me right now to find him a new home. So I did start to have some physical therapy to try to help me learn to walk. At this point, I was still in and out of the wheelchair with a walker. This was 2.5 months out of the hospital. So my physical therapist was late. Rocky was my American bulldog. He was supposed to go out for a walk. I'm upstairs waiting for the physical therapist to come. How I got down, up and down the stairs was by scooting on my bottom to go up and down the staircase. So at this time, the pain still in my hematoma and my neck collar was really bad. And I was waiting for my physical therapist to come, and Rocky needed to go to the bathroom. And under the circumstances, I didn't want to wait. So I scooted down the staircase and I took him outside, which was a bad idea. I went with the walker and a leash out the front of the door with just a few little steps. And as we walked out the front, just for him to go to the bathroom on this side, a gardener came by with a blower. And this is an 80-pound American bulldog named Rocky, who's a rescue, who's a sweetheart. But of course, he thought the man with the blower was going to hurt us. And when he took the blower, Rocky lunged at him. And I had only been out of the hospital a few weeks. It threw me 75 feet into the street. And I cracked my skull open right where I had surgery. And when that happened, I completely lost consciousness again. And on that near-death experience, that one fully broke open my whole entire skull. Many drivers in the middle of the street came right for me. I saw so many angels, so many skeletons. I saw heaven above me. I saw the dark energies below me, all colliding for me. I saw massive multidimensionals blow up around me. And I saw so many coming at me to take me all at once. I saw Rocky float for me and land on my chest. And he was licking the blood off of my face, coming all around me. There was many witnesses coming around me after. They said he laid on my chest to protect me so the cars would not drive over me to kill me. And an ambulance came to get me, to take me back to the hospital. At that point, I had a full-blown multiple awakening. And my eyes started, as they blink now, and I connect to the Holy Spirit 100% and became a full-blown trans-channel medium, is when I had my full-blown awakening and started to really communicate to the other side. And I did hear at that moment, again, you are to stay here. We're keeping you here. But at that moment, I do remember I had a choice on my own whether I would to leave or to stay. And I did feel multiple angels lift me up high so I wouldn't be. I felt not only Rocky was my angel, but I felt lifted by many angels. So I really felt that Rocky, my dog, I saved him, but I felt that he came to save me. And I did feel that the energy of my animal, Rocky, is still with me daily in my work. I feel the connection to Rocky is so amazing. And that if he hadn't, he could have ran anywhere. He didn't have to run and lay down on me and save me. And also, he lost his life for me. A few months after that near-death experience, not only did my awakening become full-blown, but I ended up becoming healed. My pain went away. My neck started to heal up organically through Christ's light. And I became more fearless in my healing, like Rocky. And I became not only a full-blown medical intuitive medium, I became a full-blown trance channeler, like I was meant to be from when I came into this world as a baby. I was meant to be a medium and a healer. It just took me my whole life to experience that through my near-death experiences and learning sort of like to be Rocky, fearless, and the hero. That not only many animals and children and people that have been abused, he was abused animal. And somewhat like many of us have to go through to become fearless and live in this multidimensional world that we do and move out of the 3D and move into the fifth dimension. And that's sort of what happens when we go into the Christ consciousness. We move into the higher dimension. But not only when we're a near-death experiencer, some of us have to understand to accept the gifts after we're NDEs. And when we experience the gift after we're an NDE, that's the glory of it, is moving forward. I just dedicate my life to God in service of healing people. Thank you for listening to my near-death experience, and you can look at my contact information below.